Hello, number ones. Welcome to Metatron's Academy. Today we're going to look at the great master, who is also a massive troll, Luc Ranieri. So, if you remember, I'm covering it now, but we watched this video, Can Italians Understand Latin? You see it here in the right-hand corner. And it was him just walking around Rome and basically assaulting Italians, starting to speak Latin, and it was great. I loved that reaction, but I did not know that he did more. He did more. See, my reaction is actually right there. He did more. He did one, and I didn't even know. This is from 4 years ago. American speaks Latin to Italians in Pompeii. Watch their reaction. Absolutely would have watched their reaction. Let's go.
Do people speak Latin in the ancient Roman city of Pompeii?
No.
Ergo attestato apud antiquos autores. Scimus apud vos antiquos autores.
Well, that guy did. Great. Where the heck did you find him?
Well, in this video, you're about to see a bunch of people. Italians, a German, and an American, all speaking in the ancient language of the Roman Empire.
I love it. I love it.
First, we go to the beautiful Pompeian restaurant called Galpona, modeled after the ancient Galponae, or restaurants of the ancient Romans, as well as the magnificent villas found in the excavations of Pompeii.
Okay.
We met someone who works there named Claudia, and she generously agreed to let us speak to her in Latin to see if she could understand us.
Mi nomen Stefano est.
Mi nomen Claudia est.
In addition to being a native Italian speaker, Claudia also speaks English and Chinese. But other than studying Latin translation in high school, she has never attempted to speak Latin. Let's see how she does.
Let's see.
Ora parliamo un po' in latino con te e tu rispondi solo in italiano, va bene?
Va bene.
Bene, salve. Mi nomen Lucius est. È tipico nome.
Andrea est. E mi?
Oh, mi nomen Marina est.
Mi nomen Stefano est.
Pite stivi nome?
Notice that he says Stephanost, and the contraction is actually typical in colloquial Latin, so it's fine to just kind of reduce it instead of saying est, just say st. It's, yeah, that's a thing.
Mi nomen Claudia est.
Bene, bene. Vuole queste
nomen.
Ego americanus sum, qui gratis est tu?
Ego? Ego sum Italus, Romanus.
Ego sum Germana.
Ego sum Italus Romanus. Romanior quam.
Ego potius Etruscus fortasse.
Ego Pompeiana.
Wow.
Qui gratis est tu, Claudia.
Ego napoletana.
Ottime, l'otteris latine.
Un pochino.
Matta per tutto.
Capisco, ma non so parlare.
Ottime.
Paghi le nostre intelleghi.
Belle.
Beh, that sounded really nice. Let me hear it again.
Capisco, ma non so parlare.
Ottime.
Paghi le nostre.
This facile nos intellegis. You know what's crazy is that probably she's doing pretty well actually at understanding, although they of course kept it quite simple and also used contextual cues, because if you hear people telling when he asks where you're from and they keep telling different countries, of course you can kind of connect one and one. What's interesting is though that at any point, if she stops understanding, it could be because of the classical pronunciation that they are using, which I think is great that they're using because that's how the Romans would have spoken. But since she's Italian, like me, she would be more used to an ecclesiastical pronunciation, which is modern and uses basically an Italianate pronunciation, if you will. If you're enjoying this video so far, please take a moment to check out my Patreon page. With as little as a $5 support, you can help us ensure that we can continue to produce high quality and high researched content. And at the same time, you get access to polls, extra videos, unlisted streams, and much more. Thank you so much.
Intelleghi. Belle. Utbides. Non est difficile, Italis hominibus, non est difficile intellegere sermonem latinum.
No è difficile.
She kind of moved it into almost Spanish.
È ottime.
In addition to serving modern food, the Galpona restaurant also has a dinner menu entirely with ancient Roman cuisine, made in the ancient Roman fashion.
I gotta go.
For example, instead of sugar, honey is used.
Non est saccharum, sed est mel. Ut dulce fiat. Cibus.
See, he changed it into dulce to make it easier for her to understand, because the C, of course, is pronounced ch, like in Italy, but when you say dulce, she might not understand. I actually appreciate that he is using the classical, because of course they are going to use classical. But sometimes some Italians are reluctant to do it. It kind of pisses me off, in fact, but some Italians are like that. And this usually happens to Italians who have learned Latin all the way up to high school or secondary school, but never actually continued into university. And if that's the case, because if you do go into university, you absolutely will be told about classical or restored pronunciation. But in high school, believe it or not, all you learn in Italy is ecclesiastical, which is much more modern, and they don't even tell you about it. So of course, those Italians, they are like, well, why are you pronouncing it like this? Because they were never told. And so they resist. And that's a problem of the educational system. They should tell. I'm not saying that it's wrong to teach ecclesiastical. That's fine. At the end of the day, it is one of the official languages of the Holy See with that pronunciation. I have no problems with it. But at least tell the students. At least tell them it's not Cesar, it's Caesar in period.
Capisco il senso, ragazzi, ma non letteralmente.
Bene.
Quindi parliamo sempre di piatti, no?
Ibi non haben Saccaro.
Non hanno
Ibi
troppo
dulces
zucchero,
non
hanno
haben
più
Saccaro.
miele.
Haben Mel in loco Saccari. Non Saccharum
yeah.
sed
Sì.
Mel. Via Antiquitus non avevamus Saccharum.
Perché gli antichi non avevano zucchero.
Sì, sì,
Tantissimo.
Rectissime. I need to... so, of course, he speaks it really well. Is he using the retracted S or the frontal? I'm going to start checking for that, because that's another thing. And of course, Luke Ranieri does it all the time. He uses the correct retracted S, which is kind of similar to, for those who don't know what that is the S that you will hear in Madrid Spanish, modern Greek, probably ancient Greek too, and only some areas of the northwest of Italy use it. And when I say northwest, I'm talking about Emilia-Romagna, a little bit northeast as well, actually, Friuli. Yeah, I think I'm not sure how common it is in Piedmont, probably a little bit. A lot of Italians have the frontal S like English. And so I'm going to see, because that could be a little difficult to adjust to. To give you an example, it would be like saying, it's a sh instead of s. Kibus, not kibus.
Kibus, qui tibi placen,
Yeah.
frustrum mi placen.
Carne mi wow.
Belle. Et qui tibi...
Mi valde placuit ferculum, cuius nomen est fagottini ripieni con ricotta.
Claudia, guides kibu qui tibi maxime placuit in menù.
The Galeno Diet, non so come
Menù
di Anticum, ma non lo so, ci provo.
Ottimo.
Yeah, she's giving it a try.
Bene. Gratias tibi agimus.
Grazie.
Gratias digi agimus. That sounds so good.
Gratias.
Considering that Claudia has never practiced
Yeah.
speaking Latin before, the fact that she spontaneously responded to us sometimes in Latin was absolutely remarkable, and much more than any of us expected. It
Yeah.
says a lot about her natural talent and skill at speaking foreign languages. Thank you so much, Claudia. Grazie mille.
He's so nice. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. We had a dinner in Rome once. Such a nice guy, Luke Ranieri.
Ecce nos ante excavationem novissimam Pompeiorum videmus intus thermopolium sive caupona portas.
Thanks to our archaeologist friend Laura, whose Facebook page, Anima Vesuviana, has incredibly beautiful photos of Pompeii.
Yeah.
We got to see the newly uncovered Thermopolium, which has remarkably well-preserved frescoes.
Yeah.
Check the full video on my other channel, Scorpio Martianus.
Laura, chiede qui a...
Alla nos tegemus. Exclamationibus tui segemus.
Certe, spicit etiam hanc hoc escaput me. Sed est thermopolium, non è? Est thermopolium in pariete thermopoli. Quam pulcrum?
Sunt amphorae, non
Sunt amphorae.
Sunt amphorae.
Quam pulcrum?
Heri in Caupona bibimus ex tali.
Isn't it amazing to hear the ancient language spoken in this site? Again, I think the Italian government should sponsor events like this for the kids. It would be really nice, and it would be culturally enriching. I don't know why we don't do stuff like that. It's really it's such a shame. It's always foreigners that want to do this kind of stuff.
Canis vinculatus, Gallus, atque di qui inscriptio.
Atque a destra, supra cane.
Aliquis nomine albucius, aedilis, divinus rei publicae, fieri voleva. Et isqui
Good phonemic vowel length.
hoc scripsit, ora
H is aspirated, that's correct. We dropped it. People started dropping it probably in ancient Rome, believe it or not. I think in the imperial age, in rural areas, but it was aspirated, yes.
vos faceretis, it has oro vos faciatis, OUF, oro vos faciatis,
Dignus rei
albucium,
publicae,
qualem
aedilis.
faciamus albucium.
And even the V pronounced as a w. It might sound strange to a modern Italian, but believe it or not, words like wall in English have the W, same for wine, because these words were learned from the Romans as they were there. And but the thing is that they would say wallum and vinum. Note that the M is nasalized in classical, so you don't say vinum, which is another characteristic that it's kind of difficult for modern Italians, because we do have the tendency of fully pronouncing the M that way, but in Latin it's basically a nasalized sound. So vinum and vallum would be where the wall and wine get the W.
Aedilem, praedicativum, aedilem, dignum rei publicae.
Mirabile.
Sunt praeconia.
This led to a lively discussion about the term thermopolium. Andrea challenged that this was a modern word, used by archaeologists, but not necessarily ancient Romans. And I insisted that it was attested in Roman literature. Stefano said that he couldn't find the word thermopolium in any ancient Latin texts.
Ergo attestatur, apud antiquos auctores. Scimus apud vos antiquos autores.
What better way to show that Latin is a vivacious
Okay, so now I see where, because the beginning they were speaking, and I was like, where the heck did he find it? No, he's a Latin teacher, I guess, dude, or whatever. And so, yeah, that's why. Okay, I get it. Not just a random guy. That would have been crazy. You walk around Pompeii, you start speaking Latin, and they speak back like that.
spoken language than to hear a few friends have a respectful disagreement.
Yeah.
In the end, the term occurs in Latin literature only 3 times, all 3 of them in Plautus, with a different spelling, thermipolium, instead of the perhaps more standard Hellenized spelling, thermopolium.
Yeah.
While this term may have been current in classical Latin, in these very ancient streets, the much more common terms Galpona, Popina, and taberna are much better attested in the literature.
Yeah.
In the end,
And we still have taverna with a V.
Andrea was definitely more correct than I was. Thermopolium, both in spelling and usage, is mostly attested as a modern archaeological term.
Ted non negesses, no? Via due sententia e
Bene recitare potes. Ex auctoritate. Imperica.
Very cool. Thanks so much for the video. Look, really appreciated it. Give him a like, and of course, link in the description to the channel. Check him out. And thank you for joining Metatron's Academy. Valete.